Welcome to In the Cool of the Day. I'm your host, Tia Young. You know, I think that just about everyone would agree with me that the entire world is on a roller coaster. Almost nothing is a surprise, and many of us no longer recognize our homelands, whether here in America or across the waters. Races are fighting each other. Politicians are fighting each other. Families are fighting each other. And all of this negativity is filtering right on down to the next generation. And if this is not enough, religions and churches are warring against one another. We are honored to have in the studio today the pastor of Upon Mount Zion Ministries. He is going to help give us a sense of what is happening to our world and how we can get back on track. Please join me in welcoming Pastor Shimiyu Abass of Upon Mount Zion Ministries. Pastor Abass, welcome.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, Pastor, tell us, how long have you been in the ministry, and did you come willing or did you come fighting and kicking and screaming?
Wonderful question. I've been a pastor for about 6 years now, and I received the call while I was at work.
At work?
Yes.
Wow. Tell us about that.
I was working one night because I was a manager of a restaurant, and it was very quiet that night. And I had the voice that I should do something. Then I looked back to see who was talking.
So you heard an audible voice?
Audible voice, yes.
Oh, okay.
I heard the voice and I looked back and I said, what is going on? Then I kept on going. Then I heard the voice the second time. Then the Spirit told me it is the voice of God that is speaking. And I wrote down exactly what I was asked to do. And 5 minutes later, somebody called me from another country to give me instruction of what I was supposed, where I was supposed to go for that assignment. And that was what I followed. And here I am with Upon Mount Zion Ministries as a ministry that God has given me.
Wow, that testimony is like something right out of the pages of the Bible.
Yes.
To hear an audible voice.
Yes.
I think maybe you're the first person that I have personally met that has heard an audible voice.
Yes.
I mean, that's really awesome.
Yes.
Wow. Now, is your ministry, you said you got a call from from another country.
Yes.
So is your ministry both local and international?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Eventually it is. I'm originally from Nigeria, but I'm a U.S. citizen. Okay. I've lived here all my life. I came here when I was very young, and
in Virginia or
no, in Maryland.
In Maryland, okay.
Yes, in Maryland, and as a result, the plan of God for this ministry is to be international.
Okay.
Yes, and we see that coming.
Okay. Okay. Good. Now I know that you've had a new addition.
Yes.
To your family.
Yes.
And so I want to know a little bit about that and just a little bit about your wife and your children.
I have a wonderful wife. We married when we were very young. I was 26 at that time. She was about 20.
Okay.
And to the glory of God, we are still together. The addition came, which I call a blessing, because after serving in the vineyard of God, and I see that God always looks for ways to compensate and to reward his servants.
Yes.
And that was where that addition came unexpectedly.
Oh, okay. So is it a little boy, a little girl?
It's a little girl.
A little girl.
Her name is Destiny.
Destiny, I like that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
little Destiny. Well, you heard my opening today about the state that the world, the chaos actually.
Yes.
And I guess somehow in my own head, I'm thinking that chaos would not impact the spiritual and religious community, but it appears that it has. In terms of the central purpose of your ministry,
Yes.
how do you mix that together? You know, what's happening in the world today and your central focus for your ministry?
The Upon Mount Zion Ministries is a ministry that will care for everyone. Care as in to help others. Is a ministry of love and is also ministry of deliverance. Three things that we are called to do in this ministry of Upon Mount Zion. What is happening today in the world is very important to look back and see what is the purpose of God. Where does God fit in? Are we looking at God or are we looking away from God? Because there is nothing that will happen in the world that God is not aware. He wants us to come back to Him. After being delivered, the Israelites were in captivity for 400 years.
Yes.
After being delivered, the first thing He wanted them to do is to come back to Him so that they would not have to go through any bondage again.
Right.
The Bible says, affliction shall not rise up again the second time in the book of Nahum 1 verse 9. But what is happening today is repetition of what has happened in the past. Why? Because people continue to disobey the word of God. People continue to run away from God. People continue to not seek God.
And this has nothing to do with race or
No.
where you live.
No.
It's like a universal.
Yes,
type
no,
of,
not at all. It doesn't have to do with any of those things. It is we human that we are using our own hand to kind of bring problem to ourselves. If we don't seek the Lord the way we should, then whatever happens, then we have to deal with it. But God is there for us always, to help us, to save us, to guide us, and to lead us in the right path.
You say seeking the Lord in the way we should. So
Yes.
that means that you just can't seek Him in any kind of way?
No.
There's a prescribed way of seeking
Yes,
Him?
yes.
Can you speak a little
the
bit
Bible says in the book of Matthew chapter 6, the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all other things shall be added. To seek the Lord is to know Him. To seek the Lord is to commune with Him. To seek the Lord is to follow His words. The commandment is a guide for us. The commandment is a path that God created for every one of us to follow. Many have closed their eyes against the commandments of God. And that's why we continue to see different things happening. All these things can be prevented if we seek Him more. God is a God of mercy. God is a God of love. God is a God of patience. And He always ready to take us back, regardless of who we are, regardless of our background. He knows all about this. But if we don't come to Him, then we continue to experience different things in life, things we shouldn't even have to go through. As a result, I always encourage everyone, seek the Lord, know the Lord, follow His words. You will never remain the same. Right. I have not, after hearing the voice of God, I got to know Him better. He's real. God is real. His presence is real. His spirit is real. It's like talking to somebody.
Yes.
That is how God operates. That's why He's the ultimate God. There is no other God. No other God. But the ultimate God, the Jehovah God.
Right. So there are many different religions.
Yes.
But just that one God.
That's just one God. No other God besides him. And he would not share his glory with anyone. He would not share his power with anyone.
So you said, okay, love is one of the components of your ministry.
Yes.
Deliverance
Yes.
is another.
Yes.
And the third one
Care.
is care.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go into deliverance after the break, but talk about care a little bit.
Yes. Care is, if we look at the Bible in the book of Psalm 41 from verse 1, the Bible talks about those that care for the widows, those that care for the needy, those that care for the poor. The Bible says he will never deliver them to the hands of their enemies. Deuteronomy chapter 15 also talks about the poor.
Yes.
The Bible says, their poor shall never cease from the land. That is, whether we like it or not, there will always be poor people.
Poor people.
But the Bible says we should care for them. We should extend our hands to them. The reason why they chose to be poor, nobody should be poor anyway. But God, who created us, he knows us more than we know ourselves. He knows that definitely some people would not be able to do what is right to be comfortable. He still say, look out for them, take care of them, feed them, give them something to drink if they ask you.
And we're going to come back to that because I think that is very important, what you have just said.
Yes.
We're going to take a short station break, but we will be right back after these important messages. So don't touch that dial. Welcome back. You're watching In the Cool of the Day with our special guest, Pastor Shimiyu Abass of Upon Mount Zion Ministries. Pastor Abass, before the break, you were talking about the second component of your ministry, which is care.
Yes.
And based on what I heard you say, it sounds to me like as a people, as a world, you know, God has mandated us to care for those who are in need, to care for the widows,
Yes.
to care for the poor,
Yes.
to care for those that are sick.
Yes.
Whether we like it or not, they're gonna, that level or group of individuals, they're always gonna be around.
Yes.
And it is our responsibility to do what we can for them.
Yes.
Can you speak more about that care factor?
It is very important for us to know that the way God cares for us is the same way he wants us to care for others. If somebody takes the time to help you throughout your education career,
Yes.
that person have cared for you. That person have touched your life. That person have done something that you will never forget. We need to look at others the same way. And it doesn't matter where they may come from. If the Spirit of God lays it on your heart to do something for somebody, I want to touch somebody's life, I want to care for this person, and you go out and do it, God will never forget you. God will always remember you because you have done something that touches him. To care for others, it could be a family member.
Yeah.
It could be a stranger, somebody that you don't even know. You can care for these people. And by doing that, you have touched somebody's life in a positive way. And that is recorded in heaven. And as a result, blessings will come upon you. God will now take time to care for you and your household. So what we do is what God looks at. What our heart is doing for others is the same way God is giving back to us. So our ministry, we want to reach out to people, not just our members, but others around the world.
Right.
There's a lot of, we watch TV all the time, countries that are poor, countries that are not able to help themselves.
Yes. Right.
We can care for them. We can help them. Little thing go a long way in somebody's life.
Right.
And everything is just money. Everything is not money. Prayer is care. When you take time to pray for people, you have care for them.
You have cared for them.
Yes.
That's true.
And as a result of that, God will always remember you.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful message.
Yes.
It is. Now, the third part of your ministry, the component, is something that a lot of people are very fearful of because I think they don't understand it.
Yes.
And that's deliverance.
Yes.
Talk about your deliverance ministry.
Deliverance. Thou, in fact, I bless God for that ministry because that's a ministry that God gave to me as well, apart from the pastoral area.
Right. Did he tell you that when he called you at that time, or was it later?
Well, it was a combination.
It was a combination.
It was a combination. And why? Because I'll tell you, I spent 2 years with a man of God who was a deliverance minister, not knowing what I was going to do. I wasn't called at that time, but I was following him for 2 years, not knowing God was preparing me.
Yeah.
So deliverance ministry is another ministry that God has given to us upon Mount Zion.
What exactly is a deliverance ministry?
Very good question. Very good question. Deliverance is to be released from oppression. Deliverance is to be released from bondage. Deliverance is to be released from heavy chain. Deliverance is to be released from poverty. Deliverance is to enable you to have what I call open heaven. Deliverance is to release you from sickness or infirmity. Deliverance is very important in our lives. Many people do not understand that they need deliverance. If you look at your foundation, people need to carry out what I call spiritual analysis of their foundation. What is foundation? Foundation is your root. Foundation is knowing about your parents, your grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, to know about them, because what goes on in their lives can be automatically transferred into generation. I'll give you an example. David, who happens to be the apple of God's eyes, look at all the sin David committed. Still, he became God's favorite.
Yeah.
Now, look at what happened to the children of David. At a point, they were sleeping with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Another time, Absalom rose up against David.
Yeah.
It's because of the foundation of David that is operating in the life of the children.
Just passed down from generation
from generation. They need deliverance. We cannot close our eyes and continue in the same foundation. That's why Jesus Christ came, to come and set us free. If you look at the ministry of Jesus, it's deliverance. The woman with the issue of blood for 12 years came across Jesus. If I may touch the hem of his garment, I shall be made whole. Faith helped that woman that day. She touched the hem of the garment, and the issue of blood stopped immediately.
You mentioned faith. So what is faith?
Faith is to know God, that this is, yes, God can do it. Faith is like something that you hope for, but you have not got it. But you will get it because you have the faith that is coming. Mm-hmm. If I tell you now that the mercy of God is going to come upon you, the mercy of God is going to bless you, within 10 days, I have faith in God that is going to happen.
So my faith is not in, it's not in you.
It's not in me.
It's not in you.
No.
Okay.
Our faith is in the Lord.
Okay.
Because He's the one that does all things for us. I mentioned earlier that man can never take the glory that belongs to God. We are all operating under the anointing of Jesus. So deliverance is something that can take you from a level 1 to level 10. Many are not able to fulfill their destiny the way they should. You know why? They are under bondage. Bondage of foundation. Bondage of poverty. Bondage of oppression. Bondage of limitation. This is what deliverance can do.
Well, Pastor, what about people? There are some people who can trace their history back and
yes.
can do exactly what you've said. They kind of know what's in the family line.
Yes.
What about people who don't really know? Maybe their parents or whatever haven't talked to them about the family line. Maybe the history is just not there. And maybe they're under bondage and don't know where these feelings are coming from or thoughts are coming from.
Exactly. This is where our ministry comes in. We want to reach out to the world that you do not have to remain the same. People that are not aware that, okay, Jesus Christ came as the Son of God. And if we read the book of Acts of Apostles very well, in Acts 1:8, ye shall receive power after the Holy Ghost have come upon you. You shall be a witness. This is why we are called to witness to those that have not heard of Jesus as a deliverer.
As a deliverer.
Yes.
As a deliverer.
We need that's the reason why we want to preach deliverance out, for people to understand, so that they know it's part of their life. It's something that they need to do, so that they don't remain the same. Somebody who is very sick, deliverance can take care of sickness. People are dying of sicknesses, infirmity. But let me tell you, if they go for deliverance, God will heal them. Faith will play a role. Faith will play a role. But I know after doing deliverance for so many years, I do deliverance every month. I've seen people transformed. I've seen people healed. I've seen people delivered. It's a big ministry, and it is what Jesus Christ really came for. If you read the book of Luke 4:18, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has sent me to preach deliverance to the poor, to deliver the captive, to give sight to those that are blind, and to preach the acceptable year of the Lord.
I have a question. Something happened to me a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And I need you to tell me if this was deliverance or if it was just, some people would say you just had a lucky break.
Yes.
I was going down the steps in my home, and we have lots of steps.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, I don't know what happened really. I think I may have missed a couple of steps, but I tumbled down 2 flights of steps, hitting my head against the wall all the time. I mean, it was like I was seeing lights before I stopped at the end of the steps. But as I was going down, I was praying. I don't really know what I was saying, but I was praying. and was able to get up, no problem at all, and go right on,
amen.
other than just a little soreness.
Okay.
And I know we're almost out of time.
Okay.
But quickly, was I delivered, or was that just a lucky break for me?
I would say this. I believe where you live, and I understand that you have just moved to this place.
Yes.
I will tell you, that's why the Spirit of God is always very powerful. Moving to a new place is something. You must carry out what I call sanitation, because you don't know who have lived in that place before.
Right.
That shouldn't have happened,
right.
because you were just finished praying. Yeah. But I'll tell you something. The prayer that you have prayed that night has troubled some power, some spirits, some demons, and they reinforced.
Wow.
That's what that is.
Well, Pastor, we're just about out of time.
Okay.
But we're not finished. I want to know if you will come back and finish up this discussion.
Sure.
And I know that we didn't get to even half of the questions that I had to ask you. Would you come back again and talk to us more
I will
about
be glad to.
your ministry?
I will be glad to.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching In the Cool of the Day. Please tune in next week for another great segment. Have a wonderful and safe week.